Luke Clausen. We're down here in Florida, filming a little canal blowing off almost every lake in the state because of the wind, but still catching fish. It's fun to be in Florida when they're moving up to spawn. There's one. Oh, not a giant. That Mag Fattyz is pretty impressive. They love that worm. In Florida, they always like a straight tail worm, but anywhere in the country, they like it when they're getting ready to spawn. We're down here. Right now, the water's getting up in the 70s. A lot of fish are moving up. It's that time of year. It's been a cold winter. That water's finally getting warm enough. There's a lot of fish getting on these isolated stuff. These reeds, cattails, the pads are really good this time of year, but any of that stuff that's isolated, they make a bed around this worm. Really, it's awesome around the spawn because it floats. You know, it's elastic, so this worm hits the bottom, the tail comes up, it stands almost upright, sits there, has perpetual motion. Yeah, a great way to get a lot of bites. Oh, jeez, not a giant. Yeah, there's so many of those fish. You can see that hole where I caught that one in there. They're getting those holes in the reeds, a little more defined looking holes is where they're trying to make beds. A lot of these fish, like this one, did precisely. That bait falls in there. As soon as it hits the bottom, it settles. And right as it's settling is when you get the bite. And that's the same time this elastic's floating back up. As you'll see in the underwater stuff, it has a really cool action when it hits the bottom. And you just get a lot more bites. Little, big, straight tail worms always get a lot of bites when they're spawning. Soft stick baits, fat worms like this, always good ways to catch a lot of fish. As light a weight as you can get away with. You know, I'm using a 5/16 here today. I would go even lighter, but the wind's blowing so hard, it's about all I can get away with right now. You need a little bit of weight, I think, to get over this stuff, to get through it rather than a weightless bait. But, you know, I go as light as I can. 5/16, 5/0 owner multi-purpose worm hook is a hook I like. It keeps the bait a lot straighter than a straight check. It doesn't spin as much, and it hooks them really well. A lot of times here, you don't need a real heavy wire hook because fish will actually get around the cattails or pads. When you pick up, that fish has already swam around something. So it's really hard to hit them really hard a lot of times. So I like to use 20-pound top knot fluorocarbon 5/0 multi-purpose worm hook with the Mag Fattyz. Another fish. Another little male. Oh, wild. Come here, give me your lips. There's a lot of these males up here. We're gonna pitch in on one of these. There's gonna be a big female that bites before these little guys. Let him go, guard his nest. Move on to the next house, see if there's a woman home. A little better one. A little bit better fish. Boy, talk about healthy. That Mag Fattyz, couldn't resist it. That worm's so durable. I think this is about the 6th fish I've caught on one worm. The Elastic is totally different kind of plastic. By Z-Man, it's super durable. You can catch a lot of fish on one bait. A lot of different action in the water. These fish, they love a worm. Get this one back in the water. We'll get a bigger one. Another little Florida bass. I'm using June bug today. Always a Florida staple, but the June bug are black and blue in this tannic colored water. Or in dirty water, I'll use black and blue too. And you get up north to a lot of the lakes when it's not dirty, summertime, ledge fishing, shaky heads. Green pumpkin is hard to beat. I'm a watermelon red guy if they're spawning that clear water, but green pumpkin is a pretty safe bet unless it's really dirty or you're in Florida. Florida, June bug are black and blue, we'll catch them. You know, you hear it over and over again, but one really important thing is retying a lot. Here we're catching these fish around a lot of cover. You don't know when you're going to catch a really big one. It's really important to keep your line fresh in that lower section line where you're getting it abrased a little bit. This Mag Fattyz, You know, we'll catch them here in Florida around this isolated stuff. They're moving up to spawn, kind of protecting these areas, but it's becoming one of my favorites all over the country. It's just such a versatile bait that I've caught them from the Tennessee River on ledges, pitching docks with it. It's not something that just works for the spawn. It's really a good year-round bait. And of course, that Elastec plastic floats it up, a lot of action, super durable. You can catch a lot of fish on one bait. Got her. Beautiful Florida fish. Look at that, the Mag Fattyz. She was up there a bit, the same as the rest of that falls, and just settles at the bottom. That's pretty awesome. Doesn't get much better than that. I'm excited to get another one. You know, one thing you hear all the time that people really probably don't heed, and people that I fish with I know don't, is retying. I'm relentless at retying. You know, you really don't realize a lot of times when there's little frays, and you never know where you're gonna hook a fish that's gonna test your equipment. The couple seconds it takes to retie, well worth the time. Even when it doesn't look necessary, I like to retie quite often. Too fun right there. Look at that chunk. It's got some shoulders on it, not very long, fat. This is just too fun catching them on this Mag Fattyz here. That, jeez, pretty fish. I'm using a Phenix Feather 7.3 extra heavy rod with the Corrado high gear ratio 7.4 to 1 reel. I want some speed on it, but I'm using this a little bit shorter rod. A lot of times I use a flipping stick, but the wind's blowing so hard today. This shorter rod actually can keep your line closer to the water, still work your bait. You get a lot less effect by the wind, so you can still feel a little bit better. This also is a really good close quarters rod. A shorter rod lets you be a little bit more accurate, but still has the power to get them out of these pads. 20-pound Yo-Zuri top knot fluorocarbon. That's pretty fun. Thanks for tuning in. Check out all this gear on the tacklewarehouse.com website, and like, share, tag a friend for a chance to win the gear giveaway.